So this is the first Mexican flag, the Cross of Burgundy. But what is the story behind it? So Spain wanted to expand its empire and find new riches, so they went to America. And when they went there, they found Mexico, or back then, the Aztec Empire. And the Aztec Empire back then was one of the strongest civilizations in the Americas, with its capital city, Tenochtitlan, sitting on a giant lake. But in 1915, the Spanish explorer Hernan Cortes landed on the coast of the Aztec Empire with only around 500 soldiers, 16 horses, and just a few cannons. And he realized as he was walking across the land that he cannot win alone. So because of that, he made alliances with the enemies of the Aztecs. For example, with the people of the Tlaxcalans, and together they attacked Tenochtitlan. But the Aztecs were not weak because they fought back with great strength. But after months of sieges, battles, and most importantly, diseases, the city of Tenochtitlan fell on August 13, 1512. And I mention diseases because that's what actually got them, because the Europeans went to the Americas with a lot of diseases, so the people in the Aztec Empire got all those diseases, and that killed so many of them. But after the capital city fell, Spain claimed victory and took control of the land and called it now New Spain. And they used the flag that I showed you earlier, the Cross of Burgundy flag, which is the white flag with the big red X. And this flag became the symbol of the Spanish rule. And for the rating, well, because we know that this flag came from colonizing a country and the people of it, we will be putting this flag in F tier. And also, the design is kind of whatever in my opinion. And now this is the second Mexican flag, which, as you know, is the Spanish flag. So now New Spain became the center of Spain's American empire, but because it was too far from Europe, Spain had a little bit of a problem. So Spain was a little worried that the New Spain people are gonna revolt, so they tried to make up a new system, and they created super strict systems to control taxes, trade, and even religion and language. And everyone was forced to learn Spanish and become Catholic, and the indigenous people now were enslaved and worked in farms and mines. But Spain was like, that's not enough people, so they even brought more slaves from Africa to work there as well. And Spain itself got a lot of silver from New Spain, because Mexico back then had a lot of silver, so they became super rich. So yeah, they were feeding off the indigenous people. But the problem is, Spain traveled a lot between Europe and America, but the flag itself wasn't unique enough in the ocean. So in 1785, King Charles III of Spain created a new flag with 3 stripes, red, yellow, and red, to make that flag a little bit more recognizable. So for the flag rating, well, looks wise, it's not bad, but the history that came with it is horrible. It's not the best. Like, no, it's disgusting. What am I saying? So because of that, we're gonna be putting it in D tier. And that's just because of the design. Like, if it's for the history itself, definitely an F. And you guys got mad at me for my ratings last time. So if you're mad, like, let me know what would you rate them yourself. Anyway, now to the third flag, the flag of the 3 guarantees. Finally, it's not the Spanish flag anymore, but thing is, Spain wanted to stay in control of Mexico, but Europe had a lot of problems, and Europe exploded into chaos when Napoleon invaded Spain in 1808. And because of that, the Spanish king was captured and Spain's government became very unstable. So when people in New Spain watched that happen, a lot of them felt that Spain was too weak to rule them anymore. And people started thinking of going independent, especially with prices rising, taxes increasing, and very unfair treatment to the indigenous people. The people kind of had enough, and the leaders even started planning a rebellion. So the people wanted freedom, but obviously Spanish officials wanted to stop that independence movement. And so on September 16, 1810, Father Miguel Hidalgo rang the church bell in Dolores and called for a revolt. And the idea of revolution spread through the villages. Like, now everyone wanted to revolt, but thing is, Spain didn't want that, right? So they sent their armies to crush that revolution. But because of that, even more leaders joined the fight, including Jose Maria Morelos, and year after year, more battles continued. And Spain now realized that they cannot stop it anymore, and by the late 1810s, both sides were super tired. They've been fighting for so long, while the independence movement kept getting stronger and gaining more support. And in 1821, something huge happened, because Agustin de Iturbide, who later became the first emperor of Mexico, and the rebel leader Vicente Guerrero, joined forces. And together they created a plan to make Mexico free. But thing is, they needed peace with Spain first, because they cannot just keep fighting. They've been fighting for years. And they gave the plan to Spain, and they actually accepted the plan, which now ended 300 years of Spanish rule of Mexico. And now New Spain is gone, and the Spanish flag was taken down, and finally Mexico raised its flag, which is the Three Guarantees flag. And in that flag, green means independence from Spain, white means the Catholic religion, and red means unity between everyone, even between the people who were enemies before. And the stars in each stripe mean that those promises of independence, religion, and unity must shine. So yeah, it was a huge moment for Mexico, and because this flag meant so much for Mexico and Mexican history, we're gonna be putting this flag in S tier. So now the fourth flag, which is Iturbide Regency, and as I told you, Mexico is now free, and Agustin de Iturbide became the head of a temporary government called the Regency. So they just put that government while Mexican leaders decided what the future in Mexico should look like. And they used this flag, which is technically the same flag. We're putting them next to each other, they're not really looking any different. So we did put this flag in S tier, but because there's no creativity here, we're gonna be putting this flag in B tier, just for the lack of creativity. And now we move to the first Mexican Empire flag. So Mexico now needed a long-term symbol that matched the government that they wanted to build. And Mexico still believed in three promises, which are unity, independence, and religion, but they wanted the colors to look more modern and unique. So they kept the colors, but instead of diagonal, they made them vertical, and they wanted a symbol in the center, but they actually wanted something that showed Mexico's ancient spirit and how it connects to the new government at the same time. So they put an eagle standing on a cactus, but the emperor back then was like, that's not good enough. It doesn't show any royalty. So they gave the eagle a crown, and they added a green wreath around it to make it look not that empty, but that was it. They finally got their flag, their first official flag. So this flag is iconic. So because of that, we're gonna be putting it in A tier. Not S, just because I think it looks a little bit tacky, just a little bit, but it still looks good. And also for the eagle, we're gonna be seeing a lot of it today, so yeah, get ready for that. And now the next flag, which is the Mexican Republic flag. So you know now that Mexico has its emperor, but he actually left in almost a year or something because people didn't really like him. But now there was an issue. The government didn't know who should come and replace him, so they thought about it a little bit, and Congress then decided that, you know what? Mexico should become a republic, like a country where people choose its leaders instead of obeying a king or an emperor. But remember, the flag had a crown on it, so the people were like, no, that flag means that we are still a monarchy. We're not that anymore. So yeah, remove that crown and leave that eagle, and that's gonna be our new flag. And as you can see, the eagle is eating a snake, right? Well, that's also a part of an Aztec legend, so they wanted to bring some parts of pre-Spain Mexico into that flag. So that's the final flag. Honestly, cool flag. I love the design, even though I did love the crown on the flag. It looked a little nice, but still, the story of it is important, so we're gonna be putting this flag in A tier. And now we reach the second Mexican Empire flag. So after Mexico became a republic, it actually started having a lot of problems. For example, they had a war with the United States, and Mexico was very outnumbered and outgunned, and the war ended badly for Mexico because they lost half of its territory to the US. And then Mexico tried to rebuild itself after the war, but there were a lot of political fights as well, and the country went through different presidents, new constitutions, and conflicts between liberals and conservatives, so Mexico was struggling a lot. But also Mexico owed a lot of money to European nations like France, Spain, and Britain because remember, they were just in a war, and war is expensive. So in 1861, these countries sent ships to Mexico to demand repayment, and Mexico tried to make agreements with them, and Spain and the UK were like, sure, whatever. They kind of agreed, but France under Napoleon III was like, no, we're not agreeing to your plan because France had their own secret plan. Instead of leaving, France decided to invade Mexico, and even though Mexico tried to defend itself, France was super strong. They were one of the strongest armies in the world back then. And in 1863, France captured Mexico City, which is the capital city, and they put its own emperor in it, which is Archduke Maximilian of Austria, and he became the new emperor of Mexico. Yep, Mexico got another emperor. He decided to change the flag because that simple Republican eagle flag didn't really match his vibe. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna match it to my style, like my emperor style, whatever that meant. And he made this flag. So again, because they took the country by force and because this flag looks very tacky, we're gonna be putting this flag in F tier. Yeah, not a fan. And for the next flag, the Republic of Mexico's flag actually came back. Even though Maximilian was the Emperor of Mexico, the real elected president of Mexico, Benito Juarez, refused to give up. And he led a resistance government from the north, supported by many Mexicans who hated the idea of a foreign power. So the Mexican people never actually gave up. And during that time as well, France had a lot of problems back in Europe. And it was a little expensive to keep a whole army in Mexico. They needed that army back in France. So Napoleon III was like, you know what, Maximilian? You're on your own. And he pulled out his troops from Mexico back to France. And without the army and without protection, the empire collapsed only after 3 years. Like, that wasn't a long empire. But now Juarez returned to Mexico City and now he's the president again. And when he came back, he raised the Republican flag again. Colors now meant something a little different because the green now means hope, the white means union, and red means the blood of the heroes that died during that war. And we already rated this flag, but because this flag comes with way more history now, we're gonna be moving this flag from A tier to S tier. But also during that time, they did some rebranding of the flag just because they could. For example, in 1880, Tomas de la Pena designed a new style of the flag, which looks like this. And I think it looks alright, but not much of a change, so B tier. And then in 1893, they changed it again with this new design. Again, not the biggest fan, so yeah, C tier. And they changed it again in 1899, but also, it looked better before. This one is also going in C tier. And now this flag comes next, because this flag comes with a little bit of a story with it. Because now it's the beginning of the 1900s and Mexico actually modernized a lot under Porfirio Diaz because they made railways and big cities. But also he ruled for way too long and was unfair to many poor people and working people. So in 1910, a Mexican revolution happened because people rose up to demand land, rights, and real democracy. And that revolution was going on for like 10 years. But in the middle of the revolution, they made this flag, which is kind of an interesting time. But yeah, there's a lot of history that comes with the timing and the flag and why they did it. Like, I would talk a lot about the revolution and what happened in it, but that would be like a whole video on its own. So maybe if you guys ask for it, I'd do it. But for the flag's design, it looks pretty cool, to be honest. Like, what do you guys think? Like, you know what? Let's put it in A tier. The design looks pretty cool. And now we reach Mexico's current flag. So the revolution was done. It's been like 40 years after that. And Mexico now was gonna host the first Olympics ever in a Latin American country. And it was the Summer Olympics. So yeah, it was a huge event. So Mexico wanted their flag to be more modern and clear. So they made their flag, which is the current flag, show how modern they were. And they made this flag. And you know what? Even though it's Mexico's current flag and everything, I will still put it in B tier. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a nice flag and everything, but I did like the one before a little bit more. Like, just a little bit. It was a little bit nicer when it comes to the design. And here it is, guys. Mexico's old flags with the final rankings of today. And see you in the next one.